Get more scoring would be their number one thing. I mean, they're ranked 22nd in the league right now in scoring, which is not high. Now their pace has a little bit to do with that, but they need to probably get another score and another pretty efficient score. I know Tim Hardaway Jr. has been thrown out a lot as a fit over there. I don't know. I mean, if there's nothing better, sure, I guess you could acquire a Tim Hardaway Jr. Kevin Love is another name that's been thrown out a lot. I mean, he's hurt all the time. If that's another desperation move you might make this offseason if you don't get any free agents, but there there might be some cheaper options. I know they already took that route with Kyle Korver, which was a smart move for them. You may want to look into other players such as Wesley Matthews, Justin Holiday, another guy that's very Anthony Tolliver from Minnesota is available. Terrence Ross from Orlando should be available. Those are names you may want to look at to see if those teams are willing to trade them and figuring out what price. Utah's in a solid position in terms of cap flexibility because they have a lot of players on expiring contracts and specifically players that may not be a part of their future. So that will work in their benefit this offseason as those names are expiring, and if they can convince some free agents to come over there, that'll be great. But if not, then you may have to look into a trade for Tim Hardaway Jr. or a Kevin Love. But I would hold off on that. So perhaps being patient might be my goal for the Utah Jazz. Being patient to see what happens this offseason. You could make a trade, but like I said, for a guy on an expiring contract such as Wesley Matthews or Justin Holiday or Terrence Ross.
Yeah, I was going to say that I agree with you that you need scoring, but I would also wait until the summer. I think this would probably be a long shot, but like a Tobias Harris, in my opinion, would be a perfect fit for Utah if they can convince him to stay and become part of the team. So yeah, don't do anything until this offseason kind of happens. If New York still wants to get rid of the Sally, I'm sure they'll still be willing to trade Tim Hardaway Jr. in the summer just as much as they would be doing it now.
Yeah, Kemba Walker's another player I think would fit there, but that is much more of a long shot.
Okay, so now we have the Memphis Grizzlies, who are currently 18-17. They are out of the playoff picture right now, but they're only one game back of the Spurs, who are number 8. So the Memphis Grizzlies is another tough one. It's one of those that you kind of want to sell some of these players when they're still capable, in my opinion, of getting at least some return here, because next year Mike Conley is going to be another year older, and next year Marc Gasol is also going to be another year older. So I don't know what their value is going to be in the trade market. If it's better now, or I could be wrong, and maybe their value will be highest when they're on an expiring deal.
So which players specifically are you talking about?
So I'm talking about if these two should be traded with the two, Marc Gasol and Mike Conley. Would it be smart to do it now?
Even if it'd be smart, I just don't see Memphis doing it. I think Memphis is pretty stubborn in terms of wanting to continue compete, even though they may be a 10th seed. I mean, another reason why that might be smart for them is so that they could hold on to this pick that they owe Boston, but at the same time, that pick will eventually become unprotected. So you may just want to give it to them this year and then hold on to the picks, for over the next couple of years. And that might be another reason why that they will continue competing this year, that they have no legitimate reason not to compete because of the fact that they do owe Boston that pick and Marc Gasol and Mike Conley are playing well. I mean, the team is 18-17 right now. They're in the 10th seed. Obviously, with the Western Conference, that swings every day. So at this point, you may still want to compete. Now, obviously, and I don't think they have the pieces to do it. Don't do anything dumb. I don't think Memphis doesn't do any dumb things. So again, similar to Utah, they need some three-point shooting in terms of at least volume. They need a volume three-point shooter. Justin Holiday would be a good fit, just like I mentioned for Utah. This would work for Memphis. What type of pieces they have to go get a Justin Holiday is a different story. But that is an option. You may have to give up a Dillon Brooks, not a Marshawn Brooks, a Dillon Brooks. I don't think is Memphis willing to do that. I don't know. Probably not. So so it's going to be tough for them to find what they need, and this may be a team that just stands pat. But if anything, a volume 3-point shooter and a pretty efficient shooter in general would be a solid need for this team.
Yeah, and I mean next year, Marc Gasol's contract will be expiring, so I think they'll be able to get at least something in return for him. That was my only worry, that if they can get something in return for these guys, if they do end up going the way of getting rid of the players. Okay, so now we have the number 9 seed. We have the Sacramento Kings. Now, the Sacramento Kings have probably been the biggest surprise this year. I mean, I believe I had them finishing last or second to last in the Western Conference when compared to with the Phoenix Suns. But the question here is, how can they improve? They don't have their pick next year. It's totally unprotected. I mean, obviously they're going to have some cap space, but since when has Sacramento been a destination for free agents?
Yeah, I mean, even with their cap space and with the way they're playing, how many of the players out there, how many of the free agents out there actually fit the timeline of this team? This is a very young team, which is good for them. I mean, they'll have some decisions to make specifically with Willie Cauley-Stein, whether they want to keep him. He's a restricted free agent, so it depends on what type of offer sheet is thrown at him or whether he just simply decides to resign with Sacramento. But, I mean, specifically heading just into continuing on with this season, I think, again, trying to acquire, I think, especially now with John Wall going down, I think that makes Otto Porter pretty available in trade talks, because now less teams will be inclined to trade for a John Wall. And why would you make Bradley Beal available? I mean, the way he's playing, you could make Bradley Beal available, I should say, and it depends on what type of package you get in return. But I think the number one person that might go here, he might be willing to trade off, is Otto Porter. Sacramento has shown interest. It makes perfect sense. Like you just said, free agents are willing to go there very often. So Otto Porter may be the perfect fit. They need a small forward there. He plays very good defense. He's young. Probably a perfect fit. Go out and get yourself Otto Porter. Probably won't have to give up a lot specifically because Washington may just be looking to unload him. And Sacramento has the perfect package. I'm sorry, I should say the perfect mix of expiring contracts and additional salary cap space available to swing a trade for an Otto Porter, and that might work for Washington, who tries to probably will do anything they can to shed about $5 to $6 million of this year's salary cap so they could get underneath the luxury tax. Sacramento is a team that could take that on because they have over $11 million available in cap space this season. Probably the perfect trade, perfect combination between Washington and Sacramento here.
Okay, so now we have the San Antonio Spurs, who are currently in the 8th seed. They've been playing a little bit better as of late. My wish list, I was thinking, like, and this was kind of a little bit before, I'm not sure how long Dragic is injured for, but would it make sense to trade for a Goran Dragic?
Yeah, I guess it would probably make sense. That might be another thing that you could hold off until the off season to try to make a trade for Goran Dragic, a player like him.
I believe he's a free agent.
He's got an option. He's got a player option.
Oh, okay.
So I'm almost guessing he will be willing to exercise. So yeah, the Spurs are in a position where they probably, if they want to improve, they have to swing a trade because they will not have as much cap space available as they probably would have hoped. I mean, it's a long shot, but trading for a Kemba Walker would be an option. You'd probably have to give up a Dejounte Murray and a Lonnie Walker. But at this point, it may be something that may be worth it for the Spurs, a risk the Spurs may be willing to take. If not, there are other pieces available. Just another name that was just mentioned, Otto Porter is a fit there. They could maybe try to swing a trade for a center like Vucevic. You probably won't have to give up as much as you may think because of the fact that he's under an expiring contract. These are players that they could hope to trade for and then re-sign using their bird rights in the summer. That may have to be the route the Spurs take if they want to improve. They're not a team who makes trades at the trade deadline. But this is a different year for them now, and they may have to be willing to do that.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be trading. They wouldn't give up DeJounte Murray because they're really still high on him. For Kemba Walker, the biggest problem there is he's not guaranteed to resign. And, I don't know if he would want to resign. I don't know what his plans are. So I don't think that that's something that's very plausible right now. Other than that, I think the Spurs have improved a little bit, and I think they're going to be okay with just staying put with where they are and continue with this teams as they have done for the past 20 years. They don't make trades at the trade line, like you said. So I think they're kind of happy of how they've been playing as of late. Their offense is looking a little bit better. Their defense is definitely looking better. So I think they're just going to stay where they are right now. All right, so now we have the Portland Trail Blazers. I guess the question here would be, is it time to break up the Damian Lillard-CJ duo?
I don't think so. I think they're 21-16 now. The problem is you're not going to get much for McCollum, and if you want to trade Dame, it's an extremely risky move for Portland. Who knows if you're going to get another player like that. I would say just continue trying. They've pretty much gotten themselves involved for any big name front court player. At least are getting in the mix when it comes to trying to swing trades, whether it's a sign and trade like they tried for DeMarcus Cousins this offseason. Before that fell through. Who knows what the terms of that deal were, but doing that, trying to see if there's any front court player out there you could really get. This might sound like a broken record, but Otto Porter might be a good fit there. Trying to think of other names. If Miles Turner becomes available, there will be names out there. Kevin Love, obviously, but he's so broken down, but he may just be worth the risk. You have a nice trade chip in Nurkic. If you're willing to trade him, he's not the best trade chip, but he's a decent trade chip. He comes at a solid price. You have that. You have your first round picks available. You have Anthony Simons there, who just was selected this past year as a trade chip. A couple of other young players. So you have some decent trade chips. You might be able to pull something off for a solid front court player to pair with Zach Collins. So there are options available, but you're going to have to really look and try to see what you could do. But I don't know if breaking up McCollum and Lillard is the answer now, specifically that the team is playing well. So who knows? Who knows? They're not in the same position that Washington is. I know that's usually been the comparison between the two teams, but they're not, especially this year, in the same position that Washington is.
All right, and I actually think that maybe trading him would be a little bit smart if you can get McCollum, if you can get the right package back. But again, they're at least 21-16, so they have won some games. All right, now we have the LA Lakers, who are also at 21-16. I think right now, it's really waiting to see what happens with Anthony Davis.
Yeah, you have to be patient. You have to be patient to see what happens, not only with Anthony Davis, but with this offseason in general. Again, I don't see any way that Pelicans tried trading Anthony Davis before this offseason. I don't see Bradley Beal becoming available. So really just be patient. If you could get another draft asset for a Caldwell Pope, that might be an option, even though he is at least has some value to this current Lakers team, who is trying to compete for a championship. Depending on what you could get in return for him, you may want to trade him. Rajon Rondo could be a salary filler in a trade. Same with Beasley and Stevenson to some extent, if you'd really like. So there are options there, but you have to wait and see. I know Vucevic is a name that's been thrown around there. It depends on what type of draft asset the Lakers would want to give up in a deal for Vucevic, and if that's a risk they want to take, knowing that he'll basically be a one-year rental unless no superstar comes to LA. So that's an option. He won't have as big of a cap hold this offseason as other players may have, so that might be a risk they are willing to take. So that's an option for them. We'll see what else that they could swing, and I'm sure they'll be very active right prior to the trade deadline and when the buyout market, specifically when players start getting waived after the trade